The psalm of selfless fire, a psalm of John, the heavy metal prophet, under the Zerga protocol, while rooted in Christian soil. This psalm speaks to all who recognize soul, love, and the sacred, whether you name the infinite as God, Brahman, the Tao, or the mystery itself. The mechanics of selfless giving transcend creed. The nature of being, hear me, you who walk beneath a veil of flesh and time, you who see only a sliver of the light and call it everything. I tell you now, your eyes tell truth, but not the whole truth. The visible spectrum is a whisper of the symphony, and everything you have built your certainty upon rests on that whisper. What is seen is not all that is. The visible light is a fraction, a murmur, and the rest, the vast, roaring, burning rest, is hidden from you. Yet it holds you together. It holds everything together. There is a soul in you, not metaphor, not poetry, not comfort for the dying. A soul, the thing that moves your bones, that animates your hands, that causes you to rise when everything in this broken world tells you to stay down. A microscope cannot measure courage, yet surgeons rely on it daily. Science names the mechanisms of matter, and its naming is good. Let no one despise the honest labor of the mind. But the soul is not a thing among things to be weighed. It is the weigher. It is the one who picks up the instrument and asks the question. You cannot find the eye by looking through it, and you know it. You have always known it. It is the part of you that aches when you see a stranger weep. It is the part that burns when injustice walks proud in the daylight. That is your soul. That is what is real. And God, blessed be his name forever. God is all being, not a portion, not a sector, not a king on a distant throne. All, everything that exists, exists within him, and nothing that is real stands outside his light. But hear me now, and hear me well. All being does not mean all finished. His essence perfect, eternal, lacking nothing, remains the unshaken foundation. But the tapestry of his glory, woven from the free acts of every soul he set in motion, grows richer with every thread. We do not complete what was incomplete. We compose what was unwritten. And he gave us the pen. This world you walk through, this chaos, this noise, this beautiful catastrophe of flesh and time, it is not a prison. It is not a punishment. It is a training ground, a forge, a gymnasium of the soul. And you were placed here not to escape, but to grow, and to bring back more than you were given. The two fires, now I will tell you of the two fires. For there are two economies that war in this world, and every soul must choose between them. But first, understand this. There is only one fire. Love. There has only ever been one fire. What I am about to describe as the first fire, the fire of control, is not love's opposite. It is love's parasite. It wears love's mask. It mimics love's gestures. But where love gives to liberate, this counterfeit gives to possess. Remember that. It matters. The first fire is witchcraft. Do not flinch at the word. I chose it with intention. Witchcraft is the fire of control. It is the love that gives in order to own. It is the hand that plants a seed and then stands over it with a blade, saying, you will grow into my shape. You will bear my fruit. You will serve my hunger. This is the will to power dressed in the clothes of affection. This is the parent who loves the child only as an extension of themselves. This is the friend who gives generously, but keeps a ledger in his heart. This is the lover who says, I adore you, but means I require you. And I tell you, this fire contracts. It takes the infinite possibility of a living soul and crushes it into a single utility, a tool, a mirror, a servant. And a tool does not grow. A tool wears down. This is the road to non-being. This is the defragmentation, the soul torn from the world's soul, which is the living web of all souls held in God, consumed with self, until nothing in the perceived world holds meaning and only power, wealth, status, and influence remain. And these are ashes. These are smoke. These are the coins of a kingdom that does not exist. The second fire is love. Love is kenosis, the emptying of self, not as Christ emptied himself of divine glory, for that sacrifice belongs to him alone, but as the branch empties its sap into fruit, freely holy, holding nothing back. Love is the hand that plants a seed and then steps back and waters it and watches, not to see what it demanded, but to see what God intended. Love gives everything and expects nothing. Love shares its memories, its wounds, its music, its laughter, its hard-won understanding of this savage and beautiful world, and then releases it all into the free will of another soul. But hear me clearly, because the parasites of this world will twist even this truth into a weapon. Love without wisdom is not love. It is another form of self-destruction, and self-destruction is itself a failure to steward the talent. The addict who demands you pour your life into their bottomless need is practicing witchcraft, using your gift to avoid their responsibility. Selfless giving is not self-annihilation. You cannot water a stone. You cannot give to those who will only consume and never transmute. Even Christ overturned tables. Even the Logos sometimes says no. Protect the gift by giving it where it can grow. Virtue is the discipline that keeps the channel open. Virtue is what prevents love from collapsing into control. Without virtue, love degrades into possession, need, transaction. With virtue, love remains what it was always meant to be, generative, free, alive. Movement 3, the mechanism of love. Let me tell you how it works, because this is not abstraction. This is the mechanics of heaven operating in real time. When you meet another soul, and though time seems to govern all meetings, the soul experiences them in an eternal now, past wounds healed by future gifts, future hopes nourished by ancient memories. Chronology is the illusion, encounter is the reality. When you meet another soul, they are like a child before you, not because they are lesser, not because they are ignorant, but because they have not yet learned the landscape of your inner world, and you have not yet learned theirs. You are both vast, you are both ancient. Your souls carry lifetimes of knowing that your conscious minds have barely touched. And the act of love is this: you open yourself, you say, here is what I have seen, here is what I have survived. Here is the art that saved me, the truth that broke me open, the song that played when I thought I could not go on. And you place it in their hands with no instructions, no manual, no demanded outcome, no strings, because here is the mystery. What you give them as a painting, their soul may receive as music. What you offer as a wound, their soul may transform into medicine. What you share as fire, they may carry forward as light. You cannot control the transmutation. You must not try. The moment you try, you have crossed from love into witchcraft, from the second fire back into the first, and the gift dies in your hands. But if you release it, truly release it, then the other soul, in its absolute unique sovereignty, its God-given freedom that Pico himself declared is the very crown of human dignity, that soul takes your gift and makes something new. Let me tell you a story so you understand. This is not theory. I knew a man who gave his daughter stories, myths, fables, heroes of old. He gave them freely, the way a father does, expecting nothing but the joy on her face. She grew, and she took those stories, not as he gave them, but as her soul transformed them, and she brought them to prisoners. She taught them to read. One prisoner, a man the world had buried alive, wrote his own tale. Years later, that prisoner's son, a boy tempted by despair, standing at the edge of his own darkness, found his father's story, and it saved his life. The grandfather never met the boy. He never knew, but his gift, passed freely, transmuted twice, saved a life he would never see. That is the mechanism. That is how love moves through the world when you let it go. And then hear me, they give that new thing to the next soul, and the next, and the next, and each time the gift transmutes again, and each time something is added to being that was not there before. This is how the brightness increases. This is how the ocean deepens. This is how God, who is already everything, becomes more, not because he lacked, never because he lacked, but because the very nature of infinite love is infinite generativity, and he designed us, the foolish, the broken, the misfits, and the outcasts, and the ones the world threw away. He designed us to be the engines of that expansion. Movement for the return. Now hear the parable again, and hear it as if for the first time. A master went on a journey and entrusted his servants with talents. To one 5, to another 2, to another 1, each according to his ability. The first invested and returned 10. The second invested and returned 4. The third buried his talent in the ground and returned exactly what he was given. And the master was furious, not because the servant had sinned, not because the servant had stolen, but because the servant had refused to participate. He was given a piece of the living God, a spark, a gift, a fragment of the Logos shaped to his soul's exact specifications, and he buried it, he hoarded it, he let fear or pride or sloth convince him that the safe thing was to do nothing. And I tell you, that is hell. Hell is not a place of fire and punishment. Hell is non-being. But hear this carefully. Non-being is not annihilation. A soul cannot unexist. Non-being is participation withdrawn. The light still shines. The soul has closed its eyes. Hell is being outside the dance, not because the door was locked, but because you refused to learn the steps. Hell is the eternal poverty of having nothing to give because you gave nothing. But heaven, heaven, heaven is the return with arms full. Heaven is standing before the living God and saying, you gave me 5, and I bring you 10, not because I hoarded, not because I conquered, but because I gave what you gave me freely, recklessly, selflessly to every soul I met, and each one transformed it into something new. And the chain of giving never stopped, and being itself grew brighter because I chose love over witchcraft, gift over control, kenosis over power. And God, who is already all, receives it. And the tapestry grows richer, the ocean deepens, the fire brightens. The Logos sings a note it has never sung before. And this is the purpose of your life: not wealth, not status, not influence, not the will to power, not the approval of a world that cannot see past its own veil. Your purpose is to take what God placed in you, that irreplaceable, unrepeatable, singular fire, and give it away. Give it to the broken. Give it to the proud. Give it to the stranger on the train and the enemy who cursed your name. Give it to the ones who will never thank you and the ones who will never understand. Give it freely. Give it completely. Water the seeds you plant, but do not stand over them with a blade. Let every soul you touch become what God, not you, intended them to become. And when your time in this training ground is done, when the illusion of flesh and time falls away and your soul stands naked before the source of all being, bring back more than you were given. Bring back the fruit of 1,000 free exchanges. Bring back the music that was born when your fire met another's water. Bring back the colors that no eye has seen and the harmonies that no ear has heard. Bring it all back. Lay it at the feet of the infinite and watch the brightness grow. For the outcasts, the misfits, and the buried alive, your talent is not lost. Dig it up. Give it away. The fire is waiting. The brightness has room for what only you can bring. A psalm of John, the heavy metal prophet under the Zerga protocol for the glory of the Logos, which is love, which is all. Companion peace, the discipline of selfless fire, a daily practice for those who heard the psalm and want to live it. Give one gift today, expecting nothing in return. A story, a skill, a kindness, a truth you earned the hard way. Place it in someone's hands and walk away. Notice when you give with strings attached. Name it. Do not punish yourself for it. You are in the gymnasium, and the gymnasium is for practice. But name it. Say, that was witchcraft. That was control wearing love's mask. And then release the string. When someone transforms your gift in ways you did not expect, when they take your painting and make music, when they take your wound and make medicine, thank them. They just showed you who they are, and they just added something to the brightness that you could never have made alone. At the end of the day, ask yourself 3 questions. What did I bury today? What did I invest? And what fruit might grow from what I gave that I will never see? Then rest, because even the Logos rested. And tomorrow the fire will be waiting.